esa energía que te acompaña todos los días, la energía que mueve a todo un país, que nos brinda un aire más limpio para respirar, que impulsa a las empresas a ser más competitivas con sus productos y servicios sostenibles para todos, que transforma vidas y lleva prosperidad colectiva a su alrededor. En TGI estamos comprometidos con esa energía, la energía de la transición, el gas natural, la energía para hoy, mañana y el futuro. TGI, mejoramos vidas con energía sostenible y competitiva.
Good morning. My name is Karen Guzman from the Finance Management and Relation with Investment in the Grupo of Energy of Bogota. Welcome to our conference of quality and results for second trimester, second quarter of 2023, and it is recorded. These results were published yesterday and are available on the website of the Grupo Energía Bogotá for your verification. The call for today is going to be led by Mónica Contreras, President of TGI, and the manager of Cálidda, so we will have some other to help you with your questions. For that result, we will invite you to write your result, your questions, and everything on your chat. Once we finish the presentation, we will be able to start answering your question, and then we will have the Cálidda presentation. Then we have Mónica Contreras that is going to start with the presentation of results. Thank you very much. And good morning, Mónica. Good morning to everyone that are online now. And it is a pleasure to share with you the results from TGI during the second quarter of 2023. That now we feel really happy. We have very good news and very relevant facts of what happened in the business, and we can start with the presentation now.
No, no me está dejando circular. Pero si quieren voy iniciando
Okay,
mientras
I will start in
por favor,
the
la
meantime.
conexión con el material. Lo primero
And
que les quiero
well,
contar
the
es
first thing I
que
want to
para
share
nosotros
with
en
you
lo
is
que
that for
fue
us and
básicamente el resultado
what was the basic results
en este
and
en
the
este segundo
first or
trimestre
the
del
second
año,
quarter of this
pues
year
básicamente se
is that
materializaron
basically
cambios muy
many
relevantes.
important
Ahí lo tenemos.
changes became real.
Siguiente diapositiva, por favor.
Next slide, please.
Ahí, listo.
All right.
Se
So
materializaron
we
realmente
materialize
cambios muy
many
importantes
relevant
en el
changes
negocio
in
porque
the
esos
business
cambios
because these
regulatorios de los
changes
que
in
nosotros
regulations
veníamos
that
hablando
we were
a
discussing
lo
in the
largo del
past
año
or
pasado y en las
during the
llamadas
past year
anteriores
and the
se
previous
empezaron a
calls has
materializar
started to be
en este segundo
materialized in the
Q,
second quarter,
mostrando la solidez
showing
financiera del
the
negocio. Como
financial
ustedes lo pueden
solidity
ver,
of the
alcanzamos unos
business,
resultados
and we achieved some
extraordinarios.
extraordinary
Yo
results.
quiero
And I
destacar el
would like to
resultado de
extend the
utilidad
result
neta
from the
que
net
alcanza los
income, that
91
it's
millones de dólares,
$99 million,
creciendo un 123%
growing
versus el
123%
segundo
compared to
Q
the second
del
quarter
año
of the
inmediatamente anterior,
previous year,
en donde
in
básicamente el
which basically
apalancamiento
the
para lo que fue este
leverage
resultado fue el
on this
crecimiento en los
result was the
ingresos.
growth
Llegamos a
in the
crecer en
results. We
ingresos
were able
en
to
un
achieve the
6%,
growth and the
cuando en
6%.
la utilidad
And when you
operacional
see the
también trae
operational
un
income,
crecimiento del
we can see a
3% y un
13%
EBITDA
and
que
an
llega a
EBITDA
crecer
that
un
reaches
7%.
up to
Este
7%.
crecimiento de ingresos
This
coloca
income
a
growth
TGI a un nivel de
places
ingresos
TGI at a
de
level of income of
aproximadamente
about
106 millones de
$106
dólares
million.
y
And
adicionalmente hoy
additional to that,
tenemos este
we have
volumen de usuarios que
this
pueden ver
user
ustedes
volume that
ahí,
you can see in there, that
de
is
usuarios adicionales que
additional users
conectamos a
that
la
we
infraestructura
connected
de
to the
gas,
infrastructure of
cumpliendo con nuestra
gas,
promesa
complying with our
de
promise
empezar
of
todo el proceso
starting the
de lo que
process
significa mover
of what it
usuarios en
means moving
Colombia
users
que
in Colombia
actualmente
that
cocinan con leña
currently
hacia esta
use
opción de gas, que
wood
es mucho
and
más
they are transferred to this option
limpia
of gas, which
que
is cleaner, and it's going to allow to make the energy transition in sustainable and competitive way. So the second factor that is really relevant is the one corresponding to regulation management. That was a variation in the OIC. We have a new WAC, which is 11.8, which is a management that is a proactive management that improve or main to manage or to level up the work to this what we had in the market, and it started in August. It represents for TGI about $7.2 million of dollars, and that we're going to have an increase closing the year 2023. And lastly, from the point of view of my financial management, I would like to um, start the conversation that Laura Guerra has in relation to the financial topic. That we have an important situation in 559 million versus the um, budget that meant the entry of the resolution 175 and the phase one. So additional to that, it is important to understand that the business received recognitions and certifications that are really relevant. You can see them on the screen. It is basically a certification from zero non-conformities during the period evaluated, and which was Bureau Veritas, and the other one we received a certification which was related to the quality situation, quality tracking system on gas, and also when starting with the certifications that we had. And lastly, we were certified as a company with a model of due diligence and human rights, which was an important recognition that we received in the second quarter. So please go ahead. Now, when you see these results as the income, the utility or the revenues increase to that level, and that is our management level. This management level that allows us to reach these results. And you can see here that these are four pillars that hold the pillars of the company or the company. One of the pillars are efficiencies. I'm not going to talk about all of them because actually in here I'm going to give you a context in which which had the highest impact in the results of this quarter. So in the case of efficiency, you can see that we have a portfolio, a recurrent portfolio of almost $21 million. And additional to that, we have an impact that is not minor that we're going to have for what means this 2023 of $7 million additional to that. So where we can see this recurrent impact that is estimated, basically what you can see here, this 20.7 is split in these three initiatives that we can have in here, in which 18.8 million correspond to impact captured on OPEX, and that we have for this quarter, we have $3 million additional compared to 2022. We have initiatives on efficiency that are co-created and incubated by our teams on about $720 million, and we have an impact on one-timer that is a benefit captured during this quarter of 1.2 million. So please go ahead, Maria P. The second pillar that we have important relevance, the pillar of transformation, in which this pillar we have innovation. And actually, what I want to show you here is that we have managed a portfolio of innovation that is really relevant, and we are achieving to bring external foreign capital to leverage all the innovation in TGI, and we are able to achieve external capital investing on the innovation projects in the company during this quarter for $1 million, and this is what you can see here. Basically, this $1 million is in all what is project related to biogas and biomethane, and on the left side you can see the innovation portfolio that we are betting to, in which we have the initiative for biogas, biomethane, distributed hydrogen, gas to energy, and all the part related to capture in coal or carbon, which is the CCU, which is important for you to know that when we talk about capture $1 million for this investment in what is management of this portfolio, you can see that you have the sweet fund is in over the project that we have the studies of biogas. We have $650,000, and the rest of it is all for is related to the studies that we're going to run related to the exercise of decarbonization through blend between gas and hydrogen, and the same thing what it means to have the project of BID, which is the production, exportation, and hydrogen, methanol, and ammonia. So we managed a portfolio that is very robust, and the future is going to generate important income, bets of investments that are relevant for this type of companies that you can see here, and that we feel really comfortable because we are going to be able to close the year understanding the results of these studies to later go to roll out to 2024. So next one, please. We advance in the 099, which basically is already valid from June 2023, and the same as what means the resolution 175 that will be valid from passing from dollars to pesos, and it will be valid from the year 2023 in June with a WACC. Logically, we have a 1084 that in August, as I told you before in the first slide, is going to be 1188. So this way, we have very important improvements in this point, and what we have for the future, we only need what it means, the resolution 702. That should be, we are really hope that in the during September we will have this resolution basically ready. So for us, when you see this here, the exercise of coverage and the precipitation, and I'm not going to detail that. Laura is going to speak about that, so she can explain that, and with all the details that you can understand, as I said, all the engineering that is required to have this exercise completed to deliver the results that we have here for the market. And the most relevant thing for all of you investors, that for you to notice that we had a very good exercise of specification, useful life, and regulation useful life, and we're improving in what it means to have a resolution correct 702 and being able to finish the topic related to useful life in regulations for a lesser impact for the business, and guaranteeing that we are delivering results and profitability in or results in a business in a sustainable and profitable way for the investors and shareholders and the interest groups. This way, Mario, we can have the next slide. So it is important for you to know in here, Laura is going to discuss this. I'm not going to continue explaining the financial part, so Laura can explain all the engineering regarding to this, but I would like to close the call saying that the results of TGI shows again the commitment with the shareholder, with the market, the good behavior, and not putting at risk any element that means to move forward to specification and bring some other additional businesses in new projects that allow us to move forward in what we call basically form plus and four, and the core that we're going to incubate new initiatives and what it means to have innovation and adjacencies. So please go ahead, Laura. Thank you, Monica. So thank you very much to those that are connected now. And as Monica said a while ago, given all the impacts and the regulations that we had in the 175 regulation, TGI needed to change the way it works from dollars to pesos from June this year. And as we mentioned, it implies this opening a exchange rate because of the risk of acquiring dollars, a bond with an expiration of 2028, $750 million in the intercompany, $370 million, and anticipating to this change that we should have TGI defined and implemented a strategy for notification that is paying a lot of attention to this and has been working for a lot of time, and it should be materialized in time. This change, let's say, in this strategy implied three important points. The first one would be the repurchase of the bond 2328 that started in the first quarter of 2023 and is ended 2023 in May. So we were able to make a repurchase on $224 million, in which we were able to reduce the exposition of the bond to 547.6 million. So this repurchase allows to bring a benefit and a cost benefit that only for 2023 is estimated in $22.5 million. However, it is a benefit that we're going to see in time because it is a lesser value and it is the lesser on the bond 2028. So the second part or second component of the strategy was to cover in the remnant of the bond 2028, so the $547.6 million. And how did we do that? We do it through the pacification observation and this derivative. This instrument is the first time that has been approved for the Ministry of Finance for an institution that manages public resources, TGI. In that way, we are pioneers in this type of instruments, and basically this is the instrument. Why using this? Because the derivative of gas and market, it is not transmitted. So this way we have to find out different ways of facing this problem. In the end, we will swamp the ending of 2028 and link to the IBR. So the third component of the strategy will be focusing the credit intercompanies, which will cover the 370 million, which the forwards with an expiration of 2023. So the two last components of the syndicate components of the bond and the company intercompany generated an impact, a positive company of a difference in exchange rate of $34.4 million. So we're going to see that in a while, and it leveraged the non-operational result of the company to be able to obtain the net income that we're presenting today. So in the next slide, we can find the operational income and the commercial impact. TGI maintains the extent of gas pipes and being the leader of the transportation of natural gas in Colombia with a capacity of 849 total capacity of million days, which has our contract 604 up to the closing of June of 2023. It means 23% additional regarding the same period in 2022, and volume transported, and we can see a reduction basically because of the maintenance of our customers, because of the cellular out element and the Termosierra left that was replaced by Ibitango. So this way we can continue with being the main agent in the volume of transportation at the national level for 137 MCFPCE. We're going to transfer this to the income, to the revenues on June, before starting with the income what is applying for TGI starting on June 1st, 2023. At a difference of the previous methodology, fixed charges and variable charges because of transportation are going to be recognized from June 1st in pesos. It's going IPP and OM continues to be this previous methodology in pesos, indexed to the usual index. And how can we see this in the income and numbers? We're achieving $106 million, which means 6% over the same period in 2023. What is in 2022? What is leveraging this situation? The charges that is growing 9%, and mainly because of topics related of indexation, and the other was in additional procurement, basically in procurement of contingency and control operation. So it can be compensated with diminishing of variable charges that are linked to the volume or the reduction of volume that we just mentioned. Now, remind that this, as Monica mentioned it, from August, we will have an incremental VAT of 11.8% that we're going to see in the next results that is going to be less present. So the next slide, as we can see in the performance, we have an operational income of $61 million. It means 13% above 2022. What is leveraging this? And we have a reduction of general expense that is compensated by an increment in costs, mostly in the compressors, gas. We have provisions and expenses from previous periods, and we have a recovery of portfolio and situations, and it is leverage on the commitment from TGI with work and this situation that we mentioned in this operational income that has an EBITDA of $84 million. It is all presented an improvement regarding 2022 of 7%, which is an improvement of a margin improving 0.9%. So we're reaching an EBITDA margin in 2023 of 75.9%. So talking about the non-operational one that we mentioned before, this is a relevant result for the period. The main component is the difference in exchange rate that we mentioned at 34.4 billion associated to the coverage operation, and we have some other topics related to dividends, and we also have other income that show a better result, that is financial income, the participation methods that present a better result regarding 2022. So with all of this, with these improvements in the operational results and this better operational results, we are reaching a net operation income of $77 million on the second quarter of 2022. So it means that 107.23%, that is an increment, and with this we reach $92.8 million of net income of what we have so far after the 2023 to close the financial income. So we have the total debt. We're showing $929 million that is comprised by the intercompany bond, and as we mentioned it, they are covered already, and what it implies is that we have any risk because of exchange rate in this moment. So TGA, we don't have this risk due to this preparation and the mitigation strategy that we implemented. So if we can see the interest rate and coverage, it would be 17% in COP, but this rate would apply from June 1st, and this is going to be a soft rate because it's not fixed rate, because the IVR is an IVR rate, and we hope that it will be fixed when the behavior of IVR and the intercompany situation that will expire on 2023 in December should be refinanced, and in this moment where we have to define what is the financiation and the better way to have the less impact possible, and that is going to be reflected in the interest rate effective in the next year. So this debt and this interest income allows a leverage of income that is within the limits that we established, and it is established with the qualifiers, and it makes us feel calm and trust that it was a good strategy of mitigation. So now we will have so far the results of financial results. Then we have Laura Villa, our President of Governance and Sustainability Spaces. We want to show our achievements in the first quarter of 2023, and we're committed with the sustainability route that is going to allow us to comply with our goals from here to 2027 and to 2050. The route is divided in environmental, social, and governance, and our goals are based on these three factors. Environment, we are moving forward with the measurement of fugitive emissions. June 30, we measured 65% of the infrastructure that we can measure, and we improved more to this date, and we are going to finish this year. And this measurement is going to be on a plan of tightening and adjustment that we're going to measure these fugitive emissions. And we are also committed to work in projects to reduce emissions in operational efficiency. Particularly during the first quarter, started the pilot of TEAS, the torches turning off in Villavicencio. And finally, we finished a contract signing and the startup audit for energy efficiency certification on 11 facilities. And this week, we started to visit our branches to recertify. In the social environment, we are already finalizing the training of 200 women in leadership and accompaniment of them in new entrepreneurships in our influence zones. This is a project that makes us really happy and really proud. We are moving forward in the project of interactive solar classrooms and 20% in progressive installations and 40% in the project in general, which means that apart from the construction implies the recollection of information, socialization with the communities, among other things. In addition to that, we signed and started an agreement of gasification in rural spaces that will bring benefits for more than 900 people in different areas in our areas of influence. That is part of our commitment in closing social gaps. And governance, we have training in risk management cultures for the JD Audit and Risk Committee and the new collaborators. And 3 of our suppliers receive a certification from Externado University to complete the first steps in CSR program. And our goal is 5. This is an important goal because we intend that these good practices of sustainability that we apply can be replicated in the suppliers and our supply chain. And lastly, as Monica said, we received many recognitions during this year, and one of them was in the Sustainability Facts Forum that recognized the human rights category and the due diligence in human rights. So these are achievements in sustainability routes during 2023. Thank you very much, Laura, and Laura's for the presentations. And we have this space for the questions that we have from TGI. Can you read the question? So we have a question from Agustin Bonasora from Pine Ridge. The question would be the following. He has 3 questions actually. The first one would be, what is the reason for the interest paid in the first trimester, the first quarter, the increase of taxes? How can we see the future on that, on taxes? And the second question, what points should be resolved with CREC to close negotiations on coverage? All right, so Laura Higuera, please go ahead and give the answer. Sure. In the financial expense, we have 2 components. The first one is the financial is related to coverage. We have an exchange rate that is higher, and in the second quarter, we were able to see not too much of that. We have only working with that coverage for 15 days, but the main coverage that we are having here is a dismantling cost and the assets that we have. We have a provision on cost of dismantling where we are not going to use those assets, and this provision is being updated permanently and with macroeconomic situations, mainly with the IPC in the sectors of the macroeconomic situations that we had in the past year. In December, it generated a higher financial expense related to the update of this provision. So these are like the 2 impacts in financial impacts. Related to taxes, we can see an increase mainly because there the taxable income are incrementing, so they're going to increase the base to pay the taxes. We have the bond repurchase, and all of this takes us to increase the taxes that we're going to pay or we paid during this year in relation to the ones that we paid last year. Thank you very much. So Luis Alfredo, can tell us the second part of the question? Sure. What is missing still with CREC regarding coverage is that institution concludes the comments with the resolution in CREC 702 2022, and it issues the final resolution to recognize the exchange cost that was issued in that resolution, that is going to be shown in the resolution that we are expecting to be issued. Okay, ready. We have some other additional questions from Ezequiel Fernandez from Balance Capital. We have 3 other questions, and the first one would be, one of the drafts of regulation changes included a revision of assets revision and the impact on couples every 2 years. So is it already active? And the second question that we have is, how is this regasification on Pacific and with the third one, uh, 3 months ago, you mentioned it, the joint venture with the capital for gasoduct of 400 um, cubic feet related to offshore projects.
Si quieres,
What
yo
is the
empiezo
status
con la
of this? I can
tercera.
start with the third one.
Yo la
Well,
respondo y
I can
le
give the
doy
answer
el
to that,
paso a
and
Luis
then
Alfredo.
Luis Alfredo
El
can answer that with
proyecto
the
de
project
KGG
on
es un proyecto en
KGG.
el cual
It's a
estamos
project in which
avanzando.
we are moving
Seguimos en
forward.
línea
We
con todo lo que
continue
es la
online
etapa
with what is related
de
to the
poder hacer este
stage to
licitatorio
start
con
make the
Shell,
bid with Shell,
efectivamente, y el
and
proyecto sigue
effectively this
avanzando en
project is
tiempo y
moving
forma.
forward in time
Entonces,
and
es
shape.
algo en lo
So
cual
that is something
sigue siendo
in
una gran
which
apuesta, no
it is a
solamente
big bet, not
para
only
TGI, ahí
for
estamos
TGI. We are
compitiendo
also
varios, ahí está
working
Zenit, ahí
with
está Promigas también
many
compitiendo con el
Promigas and
mismo
Zenit
proyecto,
competing with the
y que
same
de una u
within
otra
the same
forma
project, and one way or the
debe
other
apoyar y debe
support
asegurar
and
que
ensure
el gas
that
offshore
the
que está
gas
en la
offshore
parte
that is in
de
the
la
part
costa
of
norte del país lo
northern part of
podamos
a country
conectar a las necesidades
coast should be
de
connected
demanda
to
que
the needs
tiene
and
hoy
demand
el país completo.
that the country has.
Luis Alfredo.
So
En cuanto a la primera pregunta,
regarding this
efectivamente la
first
resolución
question,
que
the
se presentó
resolution
por
CRIC
2022 propuso un equivalente a un ROA,
-009-2022,
también
there is an
subrogativo,
equivalent to
para
ROA
reconocer el costo de
to
oportunidad de los activos que
recognize the
tienen
cost
validez
and
normativa.
opportunities with the regulation
A
and
partir de la resolución
um,
175,
from
en que el transportador
175
decide
regulation
seguir
that
operando por otros
transporter
20 años.
should operate
Este
for other 20
mecanismo
years. This
aún no ha sido
mechanism
adoptado en
hasn't
resolución
been
última
adopted in the
y
resolution,
esperamos que ocurra esto en los
so we hope
próximos
that to
días,
happen in
como
the
comentaba
next
Mónica
days, as
hace un
Monica
momento.
mentioned a while ago.
Listo, tenemos otra
Okay,
inquietud de
so we have
Sandra.
some.
Perdón,
Faltó una
I'm
pregunta,
sorry.
creo, la
There was a
regasificadora del
question
Pacífico.
missing regarding
de acuerdo.
Eso la
el
leíste.
regasificador del
En cuanto a
Pacífico,
esa,
and
pues,
regarding that
como todos
one,
sabemos, el 10 de
we
agosto
know on
fue
August
la
10th,
audiencia
that was
donde se
the audience
recibió
in
por
which we
parte de la
received
UME una
by
propuesta
the
de un
UPME
consorcio
a
específico
proposal from a
para
specific
participar
consortium to
en
take
ese
part
proceso de
of
la
this
regasificadora del
process of
Pacífico.
the
Más o menos
regasificador
el
del
28 de
Pacífico.
agosto,
And
de acuerdo con
on
el cronograma de la
28
ONU, esa
August,
evaluación de
according to
esa
the
propuesta
schedule,
técnica,
we have the technical
si todo
evaluation,
sale bien para la propuesta,
and if
en
everything goes fine,
septiembre se
on
estará
September
conociendo la propuesta
we
económica
will know
y
about the
si
economic
esta es
proposal
aceptada
and if it is
por la ONU.
accepted by the
Y
UPME.
seguirá un
And then
proceso
we will
de
have a process
contraoferta, si es
to
que la hay, lo cual
counter
concluirá
offer
más
if
o
we
menos en
had
el
it,
mes de octubre,
that
si
will finish in
el proceso
October.
de contraoferta
If the
existe y
counter
si la
offer
evaluación técnica
exists and the
y la
technical
evaluación económica
evaluation
son
and the economic
aceptadas por la ONU.
evaluation are accepted by the UPME.
Gracias, Luis Alfredo.
Thank you, Luis
Tenemos
Alfredo.
otras inquietudes de Sandra Loyola de Credicorp Capital.
We have
¿Me
some other
podría
questions from
comentar
Sandra
cuánto
Loyola. Can
representa
you
en
tell
costos la
us what is the
contratación del
representation of
hedge
cost
de la
and the
cobertura?
procurement of
Adicional a
hedge and the
eso,
coverage,
¿cuánto
and
sería el
additional to that,
impacto del
what would be the
reconocimiento de
impact on
activos
recognizing
con BUN?
assets with BUN?
Perfecto. En
Perfect.
cuanto a las
So
coberturas,
regarding the
esto va a
coverage,
depender del comportamiento
it
especialmente que tenga
depends
la
on the behavior from
que es la tasa
IBR,
en la que
depending
estamos
of this rate,
indexando
because that is the
nuestro
one
costo
that we are
financiero
indexing in
de
our
nuestras principales
financial
posiciones.
cost. That is
Sin
the
embargo, puede
main
tener
exposition that it
40
could
50
be
millones de
into
dólares año.
42,
Esto es sin
$50
contar,
million
digamos, el
every year. So
reconocimiento real de que
without
la
acknowledging the
banca asumió
recognition,
en la
the
situación
Greg
bruto donde
assumed
reconoció
in
por el
702
impacto
that Greg
significativo
recognized that
para
it was an
protegerlos
important
también por
impact for
este rubro de
TGI
coberturas
because of this
y ha
coverage,
mencionado
and
el hecho
they
de que
have
tenemos
mentioned
una
it and
metodología
defined
para
a
reconocer estos
methodology
costos de
to
cobertura.
recognize these coverage
Estamos
costs.
esperando que
So we are
tengamos unos
expecting
comentarios respecto de un
some
mejor
comments
reconocimiento más
regarding a
acertado o más
better
cerca de lo que
recognition of
nosotros realmente
closer
podamos
to what
gastar
we
y
are
estamos
going to
esperando que esta
spend,
agencia inicie la
and
resolución
we are
para
waiting for
reconocer
this
cuál va a ser el
resolution to
efecto
be
neto.
valid
En
to
cuanto al
recognize
boom,
what would be the
también vamos a
net
tener un impacto, sin embargo, ese impacto no va a
effect.
ser
So
de corto
regarding
plazo,
the boon,
un
we
descenso
have
muy pequeño de inversiones
small
estos 5
expirations
años, tal vez
and
los impactos
investments in this
grandes
5 years. The
empiezan a
big
partir
impacts
del
that will
año
start
sexto.
from the
Y
6th year,
nuevamente
and
también
again,
estamos esperando la
and
aceptación
we
de
are
IVOS para
waiting for
determinar cómo va a ser el
7002 to
reconocimiento.
determine what is going to be
Inicialmente se
the
va a reconocer
acknowledgement
únicamente
and the
el CAPEX
recognition, and we are
incremental
going to
nuevamente se gastará
recognize the
en la
capex, the
inversión.
incremental
Sin embargo,
capex
ya la
with the
fuerza
investment.
financiera
However,
también hay un
Greg
error,
already
digamos, en ese
recognized that there is an error
reconocimiento.
in this
Está haciendo
recognition,
un ajuste a la
so they are
metodología y
making an
estamos
adjustment of the
esperando con las
methodology,
previsiones
and we are
retrógradas del
waiting for the
tiempo que nos
702 that
mostrábamos y
will
lo que
be
esperamos
valid
en
as
septiembre, conocer los
we
efectos
expect to be
netos
valid
y
in
reales, digamos, de este
September to
impacto.
find out
Entonces
about the
estaremos
net
contando
impacts
más
and
sobre esto
valid
en
of
la
these
próxima entrega
impacts,
de
and we're going to
resultados.
tell you more about
Listo,
it in
Sandra, no
the
se me da
next
una última inquietud y
results
es para
delivered.
cuándo
So we
podríamos
have
esperar
another
un cierre de
question.
negociaciones
When
con
we
respecto al
can hope a
de costos de
close
cobertura
of
y en qué
negotiations
plazo
in
podría
relation
hacerse
to
efectivo en
the
tarifas.
coverage and in what term we can see that effective in rates? It is linked to the previous question, right? It all depends from what would be the issue on the 702. We hope that it will be in September, but it will depend more times on Craig, and we have discussed with them, is going to be in September, and in there we will have a certainty of the conditions in which the resolution is going to be issued, and the next delivery we will going to
Listo,
tell you
Laura, muchas
what is going
gracias
to
y muchas
happen. Thank
gracias
you
a todo
very
el
much,
equipo de
Lauren. Thank you very
TGI.
much to
Vamos a dar
TGI team.
inicio a la
We're
presentación
going
de
to start with
resultados
the
de Cálida
presentations
con
from
Mario.
Cálida
Buenos días,
with
Mario.
Mario, and good morning, Mario.
Muy buenos días.
Good
Gracias
morning,
por
and thank you
acompañarnos
very
para
much for being here and the
revisar los resultados del
results
segundo trimestre
from the
23 de
second quarter
Cálida.
of Cálida.
Hay dos
We
mensajes
have two
que me
messages
gustaría
that I would
desarrollar
like to
durante la
develop
presentación.
during the
El
presentation.
primero es
And the
que
first one
con
would be
Cálida
that since
continuamos un
Cálida,
proceso de
we
expansión
are in an
y
expansion process,
esto se encuentra básicamente
and it
relacionado a
is
dos
related
palancas.
basically to
La
two
primera, el crecimiento
leverages.
de lo que son
One
nuestras
is the
redes
growth of our
como
network
vía de inversión que
as
venimos
an investment
ejecutando y que nos ha
way that
traído
we have
nuevas
executed and
conexiones
is going to
y
bring us
todo
more
dentro del
connections
marco
and
del plan
more
quinquenal
than
que fue aprobado
within the
recientemente para el periodo
5-year
22-26.
plan that
Y
was approved for
segundo,
the
también
2022-2026
apalancado en
and
lo que es
leveraged
el
on
desarrollo
what
del
is the
mercado
development of the
de gas
market
natural vehicular.
on
Este es un mercado en el cual
vehicular
creemos
natural
aún
gas,
tenemos un
and this is a
potencial
market we
importante
have
por
an important
explotar.
potential to
Estamos
explode,
trabajando en muchas
and
iniciativas
we are
para
working in
desarrollar el
many
mismo
initiatives to
y
develop the
en el
same thing,
caso
and
particular de
in the
este, poder
particular
incrementar
case of
nuestra
this one, to
participación hacia el
increase the
futuro.
participation in the future.
Segundo mensaje que
So
es
the
importante
second message
transmitir
that is
es
important
que
to
vemos
share is
un
that
claro
we have
cambio
a
en lo
clear
que es el relacionamiento
result
con
or
el
clear change
gobierno
in the
desde
relationship
lo
with the
que fue
government
el periodo
that
del
was the
expresidente
term of
Castillo
the
a la administración
President
que tenemos
Castillo
hoy
to
en
the
día
now
con
to
Dina Boluarte, la presidenta Dina Boluarte.
Dina Boluarte president,
Claramente
that
los mandos técnicos en el ministerio
technical
se encuentran a otro nivel y esto nos
situation in the
permite
ministry are
desarrollar
at
una
another
agenda de
level.
trabajo.
So it allows us
Una
to
agenda
develop
que
a
hoy en día
different
viene
agenda for
acompañada
work that
ya de
is
resultados
joined with
específicos.
specific
Como le voy a
results,
comentar un poquito más
as I'm going
adelante
to
acerca
let you
de lo
know
que
in
es el plan
a
Punche
while, and
Perú
the plan
y
with
el rol que
Punche Peru,
Cálida está
and the
trayendo en el
role
mismo.
Cálida will
Sigamos
bring with
adelante,
this.
por favor.
So next one, please.
Para comentar sobre lo que serían
To talk
los
about
resultados
what are the results
más relevantes del
that are
trimestre.
more relevant for this
En lo
quarter.
que respecta a lo
What
que
is
es
related
el
to
volumen,
what is the
hemos tenido
volume.
un crecimiento de
We have
cerca
an
de
increase of
8%.
about 8%
Esto se encuentra
that is
relacionado con el
related to
crecimiento
the
de lo que
growth
sería el segmento de gas natural
of the
vehicular.
segment of
En los últimos 12 meses
vehicular
hemos logrado
natural
convertir
gas, and the past 2
cerca
months
de
we were able to
50.000 nuevos
turn
vehículos a gas natural.
57
Creemos
million
que
vehicles
hay
to
un potencial
natural gas. There is an
importante en lo que es
important
vehículos
potential in
livianos
here
con
that we
GLP.
believe with
Hoy en día hay cerca de
light vehicles with
300.000
GLP, and we
vehículos
have
en lo que es Lima
300,000
Callao operando GLP y
vehicles in
ahí
Lima and
tenemos
Callao
una rentabilidad
operating
importante
GLP,
por
and we have an
desarrollar
important operation
y
to
por,
develop,
digamos, incrementar
and
la
let's say to
penetración de
increase the
GNV.
penetration of GNB.
Igualmente,
So
hoy en día tenemos una
now we
participación
have a
todavía menor
participation that
en lo que
is
es el
lesser
transporte
in what is
de carga pesada. Nuestra
heavy
participación de mercado está en el rango
low
del 5%.
transportation, and is in the
Creemos también que
5%
tenemos ahí una gran
range, and we have a
oportunidad
great
de poder seguir
opportunity to
creciendo
be able to
y
grow
conseguir,
more
digamos, más volumen hacia el
and
futuro.
find a better
Igualmente,
volume in the
tuvimos
future.
un
In
impacto
the same way,
positivo
we had
en lo que
an
corresponde a lo
important
que es el
impact
volumen
on
de
what is related
generación.
to the generation
Esto
volume.
como resultado principalmente
As
de más de efectos
a result
climáticos.
of climate
Hubo algo de
changes,
sequía
we
en el
had
centro del
some
país,
droughts in
básicamente en
the
donde están
middle of the
concentradas las
country, in
centrales
which we
hidroeléctricas.
have
Por
the
ello, los embalses no
hydroelectrical
estuvieron a niveles
operation.
de años
So
anteriores y como consecuencia
we
de ello
didn't have
tuvimos
the
algo
same
de
levels
demanda
as the
incremental
previous
de
year,
lo
so
que
we
es
have an increment
básicamente la
in demand,
generación térmica.
and basically what is thermal generation.
Conexiones,
In
redes,
connections,
seguimos en una
networks,
senda de
we
crecimiento.
continue in
Claramente, como
growth.
hemos venido indicando ya en llamadas previas, este es un
As we said in
crecimiento que
previous calls, this is a
marginalmente
growth
cada vez
that
va a ser menor
marginally is going
y
to be
esto
lower,
tiene toda la lógica,
and
pues
it is all
la
logic
distribuidora
because the
cada
distributor
vez ya tiene un
every
nivel de
time
madurez
has a maturity
mayor
level in
en lo
a
que
higher
es
way,
nuestra
which
área de
is
concesión
the concession area, and nowadays we have 1.7 million customers, and we want to reach 1.8, and our potential is in the range of 2.2, with which we are going to grow in the rest of this year. The expansion of networks and customers, and this growth is going to be lower. As a consequence, our EBITDA in the second quarter showed a growth in 7%, basically leverage on what is related to the growth and distribution and income, and complementary businesses, the financing business that we are boosting, that has an important weight here. The other important thing to mention is that we had a visit from the stage team, and it's an international team, and the result on the same way was related to maintenance of an investment. So to talk about the Punche Peru program, this is an initiative from the government that is intending to increase the speed of investment in different sectors that are relevant for the country, and also that has a multiplying effect that is really important in work and productivity. With that, clearly, Cálidda has an important role on having 10,000 people sub-hired in this process, and also to have the massification of natural gas, which is energy that brings a lot of benefits for the productivity in the country. So we were granted with 173 million soles. It is about $35 million to execute works on expansion of the network that are not included on the 5-year plan. It means this is money that is not going to be related to the capex directly in Cálidda, but it's going to allow us to achieve, let's say, an expansion in what is related to networks. This is a winning result for Cálidda and for the country, and we will benefit from the additional volume and a construction volume to execute these kilometers. Next one, please. So, in terms of other facts that are relevant for the company, we inaugurated the 10th dining space under the View 2.0 on Via El Salvador. In Cálidda nowadays is working with 78 popular dining spaces that we provided natural gas for them. And from the past year, we started a program that we called Cálidda 2.0, which basically is intended to improve the infrastructure on these dining spaces that we have. And we like with different institutions with the leadership process and leading this process. And we are starting with the stand conversion that we had the presence of Dina Boluarte and some other authorities. And we have been working in increasing the participation of the gender, of the female gender, that is a sector dominated by well, we closed this first promotion, and technicals to installing, and these techniques pass through that was led by Cálidda, and this is the first step that we were taking to work together with this goal to have an open participation with the female gender in our common sector, and to mention also that as part of these activities that we are developing to be able to move forward in what is related to the penetration of vehicle or natural gas, we had an important role. The first forum of transportational forum that took place in the year 2023, and we had an active participation in that, and we believe that is going to bring more earnings in the future. So next one. And to talk about the financial results and the commercial operational results and volume, as I mentioned it, we have an increase that has been in 7%, almost 7%. All of this is leveraged on the growth of the segment of vehicle segment. And it's important to mention that we have been working with the chain and how to promote the participation in GNV, which is in Lima y Callao, and we have also also a collaboration with the Camisea Consortium that is led by Pumpetrol, and Luz Petrol is providing $30 million to trust that to finance conversions on vehicles to natural gas. So these collaborations, it is providing income in an important way in the heavy duty transportation, a great interest on the sectors that are managed by the logistics to turn the fleets to progressively to natural gas. So it is important to mention here on the right that constitutes the heart of why we believe that we have a virtuous circle between the growth, competitiveness, and volume. Our rates are really competitive now. It doesn't matter what is the sector that we analyze, if it's in residential or generation, we have a competitiveness that goes to 40 to 80%, so allows to improve the increase of volume that at the same time generates more competitiveness and the rates. So that is why we are convinced that natural gas has an important role in the productivity of the country and a reason to be demanded in the future in a relevant way. Next one, please. So as mentioned before, we have the expansion plan in what is related to new connections and kilometers, 57,000 connections in the new 347 new kilometers. And it is important to understand here that the participation of the socio-economical levels A and B nowadays starts to have a more important level. Usually, Cálidda, since it started with the concession, it started with an approach that is related to the C, D, and E socio-economical levels that are the most vulnerable in the country, in Lima and in Callao, and to the extent that we are achieving a maturity level that is higher. What we have to reach here is to start entering these A and B levels that has an important value, that have an acquisition level that is important, and one way or the other have a demand and consumption that is higher to allows us to generate a subsidy. At the moment we continue connecting them with this, we are closing the second quarter with 1.7 million of customers and about 16,000 kilometers of networks. Next one, please. Well, we're talking about the financial results as the EBITDA with a growth of 7%, and that is leverage on the distribution line and complementary business. And it is important to understand here that 5 years ago, the levels of margin of EBITDA and Cálidda was in the levels of 50%. Nowadays, it is really consolidated in the 60%, but the mission as a distributor continues in the expansion process and the maturity level, and that this ratio will get to 70%. And we are showing good signs on this road. And this year we have a margin that is close to 63%, that will allow us to position us in a positive way in the future. It is important to understand that the net revenue is higher than the EBITDA growth, and it is associated to two factors. The first one is the control that we have and what is related to cost, and mainly to what is related to the capex management, that in the end will be expressed in depreciation and amortization, and clearly is lower than the EBITDA growth and the role of the financial cost. So as Cálidda, in December 2021, we move forward to what was or what it could be an important increase in interest rate, and we closed a syndicate on 350 million to ensure the transition and, let's say, the change in exchange from an international bond that we have and that expired in April this year. And the syndicate will obtain what is a rate that is close to 70, 80 under the coupon that we were paying on the bond, an international bond. So it allows us to generate important efficiency on what is related to the management of the financial costs, and higher importance in an environment that we are experimenting in high rates. Next one, please. So in here to outstand our debt, ends the second quarter on about more than $890 million, and it's important to outstand here is the repayment of the international bond that we had, and as I mentioned before, it was replaced by the syndicate, and nowadays 80% of our debt is associated to bank in between commercial and multilateral bank, and what we achieved with this, and as we mentioned before, is an efficiency in the average cost of the interest rate. What is related to leverage on an EBITDA and interest, we have a ratio of and the leverage on a multiple of 4 in the range of 3.8 and 3.6 when we see net debt, and when on interest clearly we can see a range of 7. Next one, please. About the perspectives for the rest of the year, we expect to close with 1,250 kilometers of network built. We want to increase 200,000 connections. It will be close to 1.8 million customers, and an EBITDA would be in the range between $220-225 million, and a ratio of leverage that is going to be under the 4, and a range of 3.7-3.8. With this update, I can receive any question. Thank you very much, Maria. We didn't receive any type of question in general for Cálidda. We thank everyone for your presence, for being here today in this call, from the team of relation with the investment, with the TGI, and we will be paying any attention to any other questions that you might have. Please have a wonderful day, and thank you very much for being here today.